Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos.
A Microsoft MVP, Citrix Charter CTP, VMware vExpert.
And your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC Radio. We have Citrix Ready back on the line, and today we have Citrix with us. So we have Citrix Ready and Citrix and me, and we're going to talk about containerization, the new Citrix solution, CPX, NetScaler CPX for ADS for containers, and what all that means. We're also going to talk about a new program that Citrix has that is a certifying containerization solution. So definitely listen to this. Anil's going to talk a bit about that today and what that means. So if you're a vendor and this might be something you guys want to sign up for and be a part of and get your solutions Citrix Ready verified, right? So sort of we're going to learn a couple of different things today. So with no further ado, we have one of the Citrix product managers with us today, which is always awesome to get a product manager because they are such busy guys. So to get their time is really rare and really awesome. So we have Mikko, who's the product manager for Citrix CPX with the NetScaler CPX with us today. And he's going to talk about Net CPX. And then we have Anil from Citrix Ready back on the line. He's going to add some color and talk a bit about the Citrix Ready program. So on that note, with no further ado, let's just dive into my interview with Mikko and Anil from Citrix. Okay, guys, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. I'm looking forward to this. This is a bit different. We have Citrix Ready back with us, but it's a different type of Citrix Ready podcast, and we'll get to that in a second here too. But as always, for my first question, who are you and what do you do at Citrix? So let's start with our main guest today, Mikko. Mikko, who are you and what do you do over at Citrix?
Hi, I'm Mikko Disini. I'm in product management. I'm the director for the CPX platform, as well as parts of our MAS platform. I'm based in Santa Clara.
Great. And Anil, who are you? And well, first of all, thanks for coming back on the podcast with us. But for those who might have missed one of the earlier podcasts, who are you and what do you do with the Citrix Ready team?
All right. Thanks very much, Doug. Happy to come back and do one more podcast with you. Hi, everyone. I'm Anil Kumar. I'm part of Citrix Ready technical marketing team leading the network ecosystem. As a technical marketing lead, I'm responsible to support technology partner companies who have successfully integrated and validated their products with Citrix. I work with partners closely for product verifications, updating them with new product releases, technical support. We do a lot of joint collaterals, webinars with them, etc. And I have about 8+ years of IT experience.
That's great. And Anil, as I mentioned, this is a bit of a different podcast in the sense that when I've done a lot, all the Citrix Ready podcasts that we've done already, we bring on a Citrix Ready partner and we talk about, their solutions and how they work with Citrix and what, how it benefits the Citrix customer and things of that nature. But this one's different. We have Citrix on the phone with Citrix Ready and me. So, Anil, why? Can you talk a bit about, what we're trying to do today in this new program that Citrix Ready has announced?
All right. So yes, this is a bit different than what we used to do previously. We used to have partners with us, but this is a bit different, as you did mention. So in this podcast, what we want to do is we've launched a new program within Citrix Ready. It's called the Citrix Ready Container Application Verification Program. And the main idea is to spread the word out about it and talk a lot about the NetScaler CPX, which is the new form factor which Citrix has released. And we have Mikko with us. He's the product manager for NetScaler CPX, and he'll be helping us with a lot of details about it.
Perfect. And containerization is definitely, it's about as hot a topic as there is today, right? It's the new cloud, it's the new virtualization, it's the new remoting. And so let's start with that real quick. Can I get your guys' views on containerization and Docker? Docker, I did a podcast not long ago with someone, and they said if Docker had a penny for every time someone said the word Docker, they would be one of the richest companies in IT today. And isn't that the truth, right? So, what is your let's start with Mikko. What's your view on consumerization, or what's your view on containerization and Docker?
So that's a good question, right? So containerization it's happening. What it is that it simplifies the way you can put applications and port applications from host to host. It doesn't have the heavy weight of a VM or a virtual machine, but it provides a high degree of isolation as well. So people like that, so you can create these small applications, you can stand them up, and then you can push them to different hosts on-prem. And the beauty is that you can push them on-prem to on-prem, off-prem to on-prem, and vice versa, on-prem to off-prem to the cloud. So that's what makes containerization a very popular mechanism. The other thing is what's also happening in IT is all about automation, right? Automation is where you're able to so if you think of the number of steps to create a workflow, let's say putting an application into production, you have to go through dev test and then staging, and then you got to set the application up, set up the VMs, and so forth and so on, right? With containerization, so with automation, there's been some new tooling to make all those steps, whatever those steps are, go quickly and in an automated fashion. So containerization just adds that whole process. Where it would take, say, minutes or 10 minutes to stand up an application running in a VM in a container, it could be in seconds. So people like that, and don't have to manage the VM. You just work with Citrix runs on top of Linux. The other thing is that what Docker has done, now you mentioned Docker. So Docker is a technology, it's an open source platform, it's also a company. And what Docker has done is that the good guys at Docker and the ladies at Docker, what they've done is they build a engine and the file systems and all the binaries such that when you build a container, a Docker container, all the libraries you need to for that application can be part of that container, and including your version of Linux. You stand it up, and then therefore when you stand it up, everything runs with it, right? And the other part is that they've built this orchestration, sort of an orchestration engine, so that you can just with simple scripts, simple commands, you can get an application running. So that's what's causing the large sort of like wave away from VMs, or let's say in addition to VMs and also to containers. Now, who's using containers, right? So what I find is that in companies there are digital teams. Companies are trying to create applications. Think of like Oral-B. There's a company called Oral-B. It's a PG&E owns the toothbrush company Oral-B, and this Oral-B thing has an app now, right? So you can buy this $200 toothbrush. You can get an app with it, and then as you brush it, you could record the app, record your sessions, and then that's made available to your dentist. That app was created by a digital team within Procter & Gamble, right? So and these apps are created using containers in some cases, so that they can be created quickly, they can be scaled up, and these apps can be what's also called cloud native. So this whole thing about containerization and Docker is really all about being able to get stuff done quickly and therefore help the business launching a new platform, a new product, and so on. So that's really why we're seeing a lot of this interest in containers and Docker as well.
You got it. Makes a lot of sense. Anil, do you have anything to add to that? What's your view on containerization?
Definitely. So as you did mention, containers, microservices is the latest buzzword everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone wants to get involved in it, and no matter which developer conference or webinars you attend, you always hear about containers, Docker, Mikkos, Kubernetes, and all these buzzwords. And over the past few years, we have seen a significant development in the Linux kernel, and which has made containers evolve into an enterprise-grade technology. And all this, and with the rapid pace at which Docker and other companies in the container space has progressed, I think developers and IT operation teams can now have that extra control over their environments, utilizing the tremendous flexibility and ease of operation container technology offers. And completely agree with Mikko that to just set up an application and rapidly deploy it, containers and Docker have made it very easy.
I couldn't agree more. Extremely easy to do it, and without some of the headaches of as Mikko said, of virtualization. But there's definitely a time and place to use both. I don't believe it to be a replacement. It's just yet another tool in your tool bag to do what you need when you need it for what's best, right? So Mikko, how different is microservices applications from traditional monolithic way of building applications?
That's a good question, right? So the way I think about it is, so a monolithic application is all of its components in one big file, or I don't say one big file, but one big application. So it's large. It's like a big, if you think of it as a box, it's a whole big box, it's the whole application. Inside that application, there's multiple different components. And then the problem with the good thing about that you can scale it. Just have one, you scale it by scaling, adding more and more of these applications, and use a load balancer in front of it or an ADC like NetScaler. The problem with that is that when you want to change a component of the application, you have to change the whole application. And when you want to scale only a part of the application, you have to scale the whole application. So there's challenges there. What people have done is, it's actually started in the sort of like in the eBiz.com world, is that, hey, you know what? I can break this application into components and use a container technology for each component, or not, right? It could be a VM as well. But you can break the application into different pieces and then have the applications talk to each other using APIs. What does that do then? So what it does is I can now take each part of the application, say one of the logic, a authentication component of the application. And then what I can do now is I can have development teams just focus on those applications and then update that part and develop the part of the application separate from all the other parts. And then I can also scale it up now. So I can now change the version quickly or not, or I can also scale up that part of the application if I need to. So that's what's brought about the term microservices. Basically, a microservice, what it does is I break the application into services, multiple services, and each is what's called a microservice, or it could also be a macroservice. Basically, it's a service. And these services communicate with each other using these APIs. And the whole blob of microservices is what makes up an application. So the Google works that way. Netflix works that way. Twitter works that way. So the large service providers within the internet, they run microservices. That's how they scale their applications. What's happened is that this sort of knowledge in microservices has trickled down to the enterprise. And how has that happened? How that happened has been that companies like Netflix have open sourced a great deal of their technology. So you can go to Netflix, look at their blogs, look at their repository, go to GitHub, and you get a lot of information on how they've done microservices. And then so you're seeing things like mobile games companies using microservices, deploying microservices. Say what I would call outline industrial companies like GE, now looking at microservices, learning the technology, and deploying microservices. In all of this, let's circle back to why containers are important in CPX is that when you break the apps into microservices, you break them into containers, and then the containers are now multiple containers. And as an ADC like CPX, we need to follow the app, right? And in the past, being in front of it as a physical load balancer, not to follow the app as a container in the host. So that's why Citrix built the CPX. We expect that the CPX will be in every host in the data center, or at least many hosts in the data center for these microservices. So that's the good news, right? So I think what we're saying here is that there's a momentum around microservices and a momentum around containerization. It's in the beginning stages, so this will just continue. And if we have to have this podcast in 18 months or 2 years, we'll be looking back and say, hey, that was the beginning. Now we're seeing a great deal of adoption, for microservices and containers.
So why did Citrix choose to containerize the ADC and engage with Docker?
So we saw that the apps are being containerized, and as you know, we follow the app. So NetScaler is in sort of a monolithic app or multiple apps. And as we saw the apps being containerized, we need to follow the apps. So we need to create a NetScaler that's also a container. What that means is that traditionally a NetScaler runs as a physical appliance in front of multiple servers, or it's a VM. It may consume the whole consume a host, and then from that VM, it then does load balancing across apps in the data center. Now we see that the use case is the container runs across any host, and then therefore NetScaler becomes the app-to-app proxy. What that means is that we need to be in every host, and for an app in that host to reach another app in another host, or even within that host even, it needs to talk to a proxy, and CPX is that. So that's the reason why we need to be smaller, lightweight. We need to be in that in every host, or that follow the containers in the data center. The other thing was that we need also to stand up quickly, right? In this world, you need to be cloud native as opposed to cloud ready. So which means you have to auto-scale, you have to be containerized, you have to be able to listen to the infrastructure such that you can adapt to the changing topology. That's the whole reason around CPX.
Makes sense. And it's great to see that you guys have done that. It's absolutely great. And Neil, I have a question for you. So, we talked a little bit about Citrix Ready at the beginning of the podcast, but real quick, what is Citrix Ready, and how are you verifying third-party products with NetScaler CPX?
All right, sure. So let me talk about a little bit about Citrix Ready, and then move on to the program where we'll be verifying products on NetScaler CPX. So as we already know, Citrix has a strong expertise in virtualization and delivery of mobile workspaces. And as of today, Citrix solutions are in use at more than 400,000 organizations spread across the globe. And with that kind of a number, you can surely tell that our customers are distributed across all industry verticals with diverse technological requirements using various applications and devices on top of Citrix. And this is where we come in, right? The basic premise of the Citrix Ready program is to collaborate with top technology companies. And our aim really is to ensure that their products work in unison with Citrix's products. And presently, as Mikko mentioned, as you did mention earlier, there's this transition going on from running applications in the monolithic way to applications with very smaller footprints, breaking them into microservices, package them into container technology like Docker, and with this, IT heads now have to make a choice on the right technologies which will help this transition. Now, with the release of our award-winning application delivery controller NetScaler, in a container form factor, which is NetScaler CPX. We have launched a new program called Citrix Ready Container Application Program. The main aim of this program is to validate and showcase products which are compatible with NetScaler CPX. And through this program, we are looking to build an ecosystem of Citrix Ready products which demonstrate compatibility and can work with NetScaler CPX. As Mikko did mention, you can already see what we are forecasting. We want to be on every of their hosts or most of their hosts to be that front end to all these microservices applications. So what we are aiming is to validate products like application containers from various vendors who use NetScaler for load balancing and other ADC functionalities. It could be products which can monitor health and traffic flow on these hosts and also of NetScaler CPX. It could be networking products and many more. And once you register for this program and validate your products, you also have a whole lot of benefits which we offer to our partners, which I'll be talking a little bit later.
Perfect. Mikko, so enterprises already have other form factors. They have MPX, SDX, VPX to meet the various their various needs and use cases out there, right? So where does CPX fit in? How does CPX complement and work alongside these other form factors?
Sure. So there's a couple of ways where CPX fits in. One, I mentioned there's these digital teams inside these companies who are developing applications and they want to stand up the applications quickly. These teams are actually separate from the IT and ops teams. So the IT and ops teams are the natural buyers of NetScaler. They build their production data centers with NetScaler. These digital teams, they build applications and then sometimes they use, so they're the normal customers of this, the main NetScalers or the physical and the VPX NetScaler that you find in data center. But the digital teams need to run apps quickly or build the apps quickly and then put them in the cloud or use some hosts in the data center. What they need is the ability to change the configuration of their load balancer. And then it's hard to do that when you've got a production data center with MPXs and VPXs. What's happened here is that CPX would be the load balancer that an IT and ops team could provide to the application owners or the application developers, and the MPX and SDX and potentially the VPX would be the external VIPs. They'll send traffic to this CPXs that are used by the application owners, and the application owner is not full control of the load balancer or load balancers, and then they can change the configuration any way they want, any way they wish, without impacting the broader ADC footprint that's in the data center. And that's important because what these teams are doing is that they want to deploy quickly and they want to iterate quickly through technology called CI/CD. So it's tied into Jenkins, it's tied into a variety of automation tools. So the deployment of new versions of an app could be like once a day or twice a day. And then so the configuration of CPX being able to be reconfigured quickly, since they have that full control of it, is where that makes a lot of sense. That's where we see it, right? We see putting a CPX in for the application owners and developers. Now, if they want to run it in the cloud, let's say I want to run some of the apps in the cloud, then that's fine too, right? So they will then put CPX in the cloud, Amazon, AWS, for example, turn up some of their apps in the cloud, and off they go. So they have that flexibility, and they have as part of this product platform and as part of NetScaler, a platform called NetScaler MAS. MAS is our management and analytics system. It's a platform where it manages it's a visibility and analytics platform, and so the IT ops team can use that, and they can then monitor any NetScaler anywhere in the cloud or on-prem, and then understand what's going on with these NetScalers, and then also provide that visibility to the application owner. So there's a nice combination here of a existing NetScaler fleet in the data center that can be used to send traffic to the NetScaler application ops team with CPX, and then mass for monitoring both of them.
Makes sense. So how do you take care?
Yep.
Is that it? Anything else to add?
No, that's it. That's good.
Okay.
That's what we're saying.
Cool. So how do you take care of scaling and clustering?
So scaling in this environment is you just add more CPXs. So CPX is like 1 gig in capacity. So it's plenty of traffic that you would need. And if you need to scale more, you just add more CPXs in front and add more CPXs, and off you go. And the MPXs on top, on the front, on the upper end can spread traffic across.
Perfect. And so how is NetScaler CPX configured and managed? And how do you get the thing up and running? Right. So you say, okay, yeah, I want to use this. Now what? How do I get it up and running? How do I manage it? How do I configure it?
So, a couple of ways, right? If you're just trying it out as an application developer, you can just turn up the CPX. We have APIs on CPX, the same APIs we run on NetScaler, and these APIs are extremely well documented. So you can use the APIs to use NetScaler, or they can log into the SSH into it and log into the CLI and get to the CLI and then configure that. So that's one aspect. The other aspect also is that once you have something more advanced knowledge in NetScaler, we can provide them access to NetScaler MAS, and through MAS they can configure CPX using a configuration template we call style books. And we have different versions of these templates. We have a version for load balancing, for content switching, for SSL, so they can use this modules to configure CPX. What we really expect people to do is they'll turn it up in the beginning, and they'll learn a little bit about they'll learn a little bit about the CLI, or they'll learn a little bit about the APIs, probably more towards the APIs and run it that way.
Why should customers and partners choose CPX?
For the same reasons they choose NetScaler. So there is a great deal of layer 7 functionality built on NetScaler. So we pride ourselves on having what we call one-to-any. In this case, it's a one-to-any form factor using one API. One API, one code base, one same set of features, one orchestration system. And in this case, applications built around the layer 7 functions of NetScaler, that's content switching, let's say, or a deep ability to do redirects and rewrites of the HTTP traffic, are the reasons why they would use CPX. So if you're trying to stand up an application or push an existing application that's running in a data center, and you want to move them in the cloud or move them in a container form factor, you want those same features available that you can get from NetScaler today in a container form factor. That's why CPX is ideal for that. That's important is that we also have MAS, and a part of MAS I didn't speak about is analytics. So we can provide immediate telemetry on what's happening with the applications, and then people can then take a look at what's going on to their VIPs, and that's available through the CPX, MAS control CPX.
That's great. Yeah, it just makes sense. If you're going to use containers, use the container solution. If you use VMs, use the VM solution. It's the form factor that works for you, right? So you guys have a little bit of everything depending on what the customer needs, which is perfect. So competition. I love to ask the competition question. So who are your competitors, and what stands CPX out from the rest of the crowd?
So I think we've got two sets of competitors. One set are the open source open source load balancers. It's HA Proxy and Nginx, and others in sort of smaller sets of load balancers. But basically, sort of in most cases, free load balancers. That's one set of competitors. The other set would be sort of like new ADC vendors in a container form factor. So there's one in the market called Avi Networks.
Yeah.
I would think between Avi HA Proxy and Nginx are sort of the three companies we see in the space. And they've been there before us, right? How we're different is sort of the richness in features. So we have very deep layer 7 functions that none of these vendors support. There's other functionality that we have, such as we have what's called zero downtime deploys. So when you change the configuration on our on the CPX, we don't impact the sessions or have to restart the CPX. That's not the case with HA Proxy. It's not the case for Nginx unless you pay for their premium version. It's the same for HA Proxy. If you pay for the premium version, you may be able to get that function. So there's all these like superior features we have in terms of just feature set on layer 7, simplicity to keep sessions up and deployment, and then of course the last bit is mass, the NetScaler mass, where we provide a single solution for telemetry, whereas for HA Proxy and Nginx, you have to like cobble together open source tools to come close to what we provide. Even then, they'll still fall short. Now, in terms of Avi, they're fairly new to the market. The limitations around Avi are we believe are around scalability, particularly with mass. So it'll be, it's exciting, right? We're coming into a market where there's already other vendors, but we believe that based on the comments we got from customers, that we definitely are coming at the right time because they're looking for assistance from us to help them take their monolithic apps into a microservice.
Makes sense. Okay. I meant to ask you this to start. I'm paused here. I meant to ask you this to start the podcast, but I forgot. So I'm bad with names sometimes. And the next question is NetScaler CPX use cases and integrations with, and then 3 names. And I'm going to mispronounce those. So I want to make sure I don't mispronounce them. So do you know how do I pronounce these names? Do you see the questions? By chance, do you have the what is it?
I think it's Kubernetes, Nuage, and Mikkos.
So what happened to nice names? What happened to friendly names? NetScaler. I could say NetScaler. I could say Docker. So say it again, Anil.
It's Kubernetes.
Kubernetes.
Right. I think you have to do the R.
Don't worry, I have a meeting with
the guy. Okay.
No, absolutely do not worry.
I'm sorry.
No.
Doug, it's Kubernetes.
Kubernetes.
Nuage.
Right.
All right, and Mikkos.
Mikkos. Okay, I was saying the Mikkos one completely wrong. Okay, cool. So let me ask that question. Yeah, I have trouble with names sometimes. Okay, I'm not familiar with this stuff. I'm not a container guy. I'm a Zenap baby. Actually, I'm a Metaframe, WinFrame guy. Okay. So Mikko, so NetScaler CPX let's talk some use cases and integrations with solutions like Kubernetes, Nuage, Mikkos, and other vendors. Am I even saying those names properly?
Yeah, you are, right. So let's step back here, right? So basically, the Kubernetes, Mikkos, and Marathon, and Docker Swarm are cluster management platforms, and Nuage is an SDN controller. But I'll come back to those. What's happened is that there's technologies around how you manage containers in production, and these cluster managers are the ones that are widely in use because they're either have pedigree. In the case of Kubernetes, it's a Google platform that they use for their data centers. Mikkos and Marathon is an Apache project that's actually has been in large-scale production in a variety of data centers. And Docker, of course, is built by Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm is built by Docker. So you'll find these names as part of deployments of containers and microservices. Having said that, you don't need these in the beginning, right? When you're just doing beginning is doing simple projects on containers. You don't necessarily need to use any of these. You can just use more simple tools that are available as open source. CoreOS has something called Fleet. It's pretty straightforward to deploy. People are using those. And as people graduate from Fleet, they may consider Kubernetes or they may consider Docker Swarm. So what these platforms do is that they manage the resources on the data centers, so the host, the storage. They manage the availability of these resources, and they manage how containers are deployed in these resources. They're the ones who provision, can stand up a container, and then once the container is up, you can put an application in there. So that's what these things do. You also have as I mentioned, these tools. This environment is very dynamic. So as a container gets stood up, it registers. There's a registration process to a system that then keeps track of all these containers that have come up, come down, or have scaled up, scaled down, and then it then sends that information available as through an API that NetScaler can listen to, so that we can change it. We can use that information to change our configuration, for example, so that we can make sure that as apps come up, we can continue to add those apps to our what we call our service groups. So that's what these systems are. What I want to point out is that you'll hear this, if you keep track of these names, you'll hear them in conjunction with containers, or you might hear something more simple like CoreOS and Fleet. So buzzwords, right? If you're talking to a customer, you hear container and Docker, you might hear after that Kubernetes, you might hear, or Mikkos and Marathon, or you might hear Docker Swarm. Just keep that in mind.
Sure. I'm familiar with Swarm, but the rest I'm still learning. The container stuff. So, Mikko, those are the questions I have for you. I imagine we left a billion things out. Is there anything that is real pressing, or that you would like to mention? About CPX. Share with the audience.
Sure. What I'd like to point out is that this is a emerging technology. So,
yep.
If we were to look forward 18 months to be a very different space than what it is now, there'll be a lot more adoption, significantly more adoption. So, if I were a customer or sort of a partner of Citrix, I would probably use the first several months as exploratory learning and gaining the technology expertise and reconfiguring my organization to put a small team together to work on this, and then put together solutions around using certainly explore CPX in a very big way, right? The other thing I could do is that if my customers are already asking me for this, and I would be surprised if they're not. Particularly those who are involved in digital transformation initiatives and projects, then they should participate and perhaps learn CPX sooner and learn about container technology quicker, and then so that they can put together offers within this year, and so they can start running, they get the ground running in 2017 as the market develops.
You got it, and you're right. This is a very early stages of containerization, right? But the world moves so fast nowadays; it's ridiculous. What do you see? What are you seeing out there? Like I mentioned, I had a podcast on containers not long ago, and I asked the same question: are people using this today? Right? Is it in exploratory phase, as you mentioned? What are you seeing? Where are customers right now with containers?
So what we're seeing is that companies which have consumer B2C companies, or consumers as customers, and with that they've driven digital transformation projects. You'll see containers. So who are these? But I can talk about verticals, right, more readily.
Sure.
So retail is like that. Online banking is like that. The financial services with a large consumer customer base is like that, right? We're seeing it also in mainstream industrial companies, right? So certainly around the GE. The other place we're seeing it is gaming industry. And we're hearing now some interest in the sort of like insurance and sort of healthcare industries, primarily around the key for that is that these folks are building apps, and the technology is changing quickly, and they want to be able to jump to the latest technology so they can get their apps built quicker and get it to production and provide services quicker. Like for them, it's just time to business, time to revenue, sort of things.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier too. It's it's almost like a real heavy in DevOps too, right? As people are automating their environments and their applications and their IT, they're moving into things like DevOps and containers just fit perfectly within that ideology, right?
Correct. Yeah, this is all DevOps, right? So containers. When you hear containers, you hear DevOps at the same time.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's not exclusive to DevOps, though, right? I mean, you can use containers without, developers, right?
That's right.
Yeah, of course.
Sure, absolutely.
Of course. Okay. So, Anil, one last question for you, and that is, this is the Citrix Ready podcast. I really love working with you guys and having you bring on great, presenters and great topics to talk about. So I want to ask you real quick, maybe talk about Citrix Ready a bit. What are the benefits to the Citrix Ready partner to join to a partner to join the Citrix Ready community?
Definitely, sure. So before we move on to the benefits, let me let me tell how we could register to the program, to the Citrix Ready container application verification program. That's very simple. You can we've created a separate landing page for it. It's at citrixreadyprogram.com /2016/CAVP. And I know it's a bit difficult to remember, but we'll make sure we'll post it somewhere in the website. But if you have any queries regarding it, you can drop an email to citrixready@citrix.com. So to participate in the program, if you are already a Citrix Ready partner, if you've verified any of your products with us previously, all you have to do is request access to our Citrix Ready verification platform if you've not done so already. And just like any other Citrix Ready verification, we have a set of predefined test cases which will validate the compatibility of your product with NetScaler CPX. We have made sure the process is very simple since this is a new product. We understand it's still in the development phases, but so we've kept it very simple. And just follow the steps in the test kit, and there you go. You'll be verified as Citrix Ready. And if you're someone new, you've not worked with Citrix Ready yet, you're not a partner yet, you could visit our website at citrixready.com, citrixready.citrix.com, and there's a registration link available right at the homepage. NetScaler CPX is also available for free. It's called it's a developer version called the NetScaler CPX Express, available for download for free. And to do that, you could visit the microloadbalancer.com website. And coming to the benefits, we offer a lot of benefits. Technical and marketing once you're a Citrix Ready partner. In terms of technical benefits, we offer free premier licenses for all products. We provide product trainings, access to Citrix enablement program, and various other technical benefits. In terms of marketing, which is the main things to spread the word out about your product and to promote your product. We offer content marketing where we work with you very closely to build a lot of co-branded assets like white paper, solution briefs, ebooks, infographics. We do a lot of product demos and marketing videos as well. In terms of social media promotions, we are very active on Twitter and LinkedIn. We do a lot of press releases and blogs, and we also provide access to Citrix Sales IQ, where you can talk to our field agents directly. And we do a lot of demand gen activities as well, like the podcast we do with Doug. We do a lot of lead guarantee webinars. We also have we've introduced something called Partner Pavilion, where there's Citrix Ready presence at major industry events like the Mobile World Congress or the EduCause. So it's a lot of benefits to offer. Again, for more details, if you have any inquiries, please drop an email to citrixready@citrix.com, and we'll be happy to assist you.
That's great. Guys, thank you so much for doing this podcast. Thank you so much to Citrix Ready for making these happen. And Mikko, thank you so much for taking the time to, come on the show and share a little bit about CPX with us. So on that note, I'll call it an episode, but as always, I'll give you guys the last word. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much, Doug. Thank you, Mikko, for taking the time out. I know you're very busy, but it's a pleasure having you here for this podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, that concludes another episode of DABCC Radio. As always, I want to thank Citrix Ready big time. We've done a lot of these podcasts with Citrix Ready, and I do a lot of podcasts on my own, obviously, and have for 10 years now. But it's really nice to partner with Citrix Ready and have them, one part of the show. It's just absolutely great to have that extra voice. It's fun. I the guy that always does the talking, so it's wonderful to have these guys on. I thank them very much for bringing, their partners really great solutions to share with you guys. So thanks to Citrix Ready, and of course thanks for Mikko. As Anil said, these guys are really busy people. Product managers are some of the busiest people in a company, software company. So to get their time is rare, and I definitely appreciate it. But most importantly, I thank each and every one of you guys for listening to DABCC Radio. If you like the shows, please share them. If you don't like the shows, let me know why. Let me know what we can do better, and we'll do it. It's that simple. So we do these podcasts for you guys to learn about what's going on in the industry, the latest and greatest technology. It's all these vendors out there that are popping up that are creating these great solutions. Everyone from, the startup to big companies like Citrix, right, in the new CPX solution. So what else do I say? But thanks to each and every one of you guys for listening. Definitely check out www.dabcc.com for the latest and greatest virtualization news and support resources. Check out our mobile apps too. If you just, a guy that loves to hit the iPhone or the Android, right? And I do it every morning. First thing I do is check my news from, the news of the world to the news of the tech. And so it's a nice way to really stay up to date with what's going on in that space, and in a very easy to consume fashion. So head over to the app stores and just search for DABCC. You'll find it. You can search for Citrix. It comes up right away too. So on that note, guys, thank you so much for listening to DABCC. Can you say DABCC?
DABC.
Say it again. DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again? DABCC.
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.